this is Benny Ming. I'm the curator of the Wing Chun Museum, established in 1993 in Dayton, Ohio. Welcome to my second lessons on Wing Chun during this new Chinese New Year's of Tiger. If you've seen my first video, it is on the concept of Yi Ji Kim Yong Ma. Now, when you mention Ma in Kung Fu, that means stances, okay? So, but actually, Yi Ji Kim Yong Ma is not of application stance. It's a concept that give you the understanding about the mechanics, the rooting, the facing, all of that, okay? So that is my first video. This is my second video. It's a follow-up on the definition of the Yi Ji Kim Yong Ma. We take out one of the focus, which is Yi Ji Kim Yeung, the word Yeung, like Yeung. Okay, so I'm gonna do a quick recap. Before that, I wanna introduce my assistant today, Derek Ming. Okay, he's Sanda National Junior competitor and a very well experienced martial artist at still a young age. Okay, now Yi Ji Kim Yong Ma. Okay, for those of you who don't understand Chinese, it's right here, Yi Ji Kim Yong Ma. As I explained, all the Chinese term, the Yi, Ji, Kim, it's the same. But when you get to the Yeung, the big difference is, you see, is two Chinese characters. One is Yeung, is here, is Yin, Yang, right here. Or Mandarin is Yin, Yang. And then here is the sheep. So in the Wing Chun community, you have these two definitions, okay? So today I'm gonna focus on the Yang here. What is that concept? So based on the above mentioned, okay, the Yi Ji is to teach you about the structures, okay? Having a toe-in structure will give you stability, okay? So imagine you step narrow stance and your toes straight or toes out. Your structure is already broken, especially even if you just stand with both feet apart. Every time you have toes out, your structure is unstable. So as soon as you have that structure, character in structure, it gives you stability, because you need that stability. You are in a close quarter trapping space, okay? If you're far away doing long range fighting, right, you're bouncing and moving. So that's the Yi Ji. Kim is to abduct or to be rooted, okay? That kind of self-explained. You need to, okay, by bending your knee, gripping the ground, okay, this teach you rooting. So this is abduct. Now, if you take the sheep definition, that means you're abducting a sheep between your legs. That changes the concept than the original character of Yang, which is, we call Yang as, well, you know, the front is Yang, the back is Yin, up is Yang, down is Yin, attack is Yang, defense is Yin, male is Yang, female is Yin. So this Yin-Yang concept. So actually, the original concept of Yang, Yin-Yang, is the concept of facing, okay? Which in Wing Chun we have the gate theory, G-A-T-E. Some Wing Chun use the 6-gate concept, some uses the 9-gate concept. The older version of Shaolin Wing Chun, we use the 9-gate theories, so forth, okay? So today's focus would be focusing on the gates theory, okay? So once you understand the Yang facing, okay, so when you square up, what happens is that you have 9 gates. The upper right, center left. The middle right, center left, lower right, center left. So you have side and the center. So total 9 gates. In the original Wing Chun, the older version, they call this Tin Yan Day, heaven, human, earth. Okay? We will have a diagram for you for this video to explain about that. Okay? So it's 9 gate. So you have outside gate, and then the center gate. Now today, if you use the 6 gate, the concept overall is the same, but you replace the gates with the line. So if you say this is the center line, and then you got the right gate, left gate, that will be 6 gate. So that's just a matter of how many gates that you count. But the concept is the same. When you have 9 gates, that's when you optimize the human skeleton. If I stand, okay, if I'm doing something important, you're going to be naturally facing, right? Let's say you design a machine for we to operate. You don't design where you sit this way and then the machine, you're operating this way, right? Just like the steering wheel is here. You play the piano here. You're talking to an important person here. If you talk to an important person like this, or you're driving like this, that already give you some limitation. So fighting is the same. Okay, so for us to optimize our focus, okay, and by having a square on posture, allow me to use both hands and both feet. I can simultaneously use both hands and both feet, high, low, up, down. But if you look at if my posture shifted to this, of course I still have two hands, but now this hand is short. How do I reach you? I have to turn, and that is extra motion. So when you're dealing with long range fighting, you can literally throw a very fast technique, but it's not until this finish you can throw the next one. That is the limitation. So for long range fighting, you gain the distance, but you can only throw one limb at a time. Okay? For example, right? If my partner comes in here, out here, right? Boom, I can reach him. But this is the only thing I can use at this moment. This cannot, my foot. So that means my follow-up technique have to change. So let's say I use my cross, this have to pull back and my body have to rotate and boom. That takes time and then space, more time and space. So if can I kick him? Not until I recover, then I can kick him, boom. So every time you do a long range technique, only one move at a time. Where 9 gates allow you to simultaneously use your limbs without have to readjust. Give you an example, right? This time he comes in with a long punch. Okay, I quickly bridge the gap by using a pak da, but look, I'm 9 gate, Yeung facing. And he's not squaring up to me, that means he's yin. So the advantage here is I hit him once, this hand can right back and hit him again. If he blocks me, I can use the two hands right away. And not to mention that, this 2 feet is right at the distance, proximities where I don't have to move and shift weight. So that means, sometimes you see a move like this in Wing Chun, right? So he punches me, this you see in Wing Dummy. So that means like you can literally use 3 limbs simultaneously. That only happen in this quarter, this space. It cannot happen out here. So that is facing. So you must have a square up facing where he is not facing. That means I can have more limbs, more tools. So if you look at here, I can punch him, I can do submission, I can do takedown, I can do kick. So that means when I have my Yeung facing, I can use right, left, high, low, 4 limbs, kick, strike, take down, submit. This in Wing Chun we call Dou Ying, okay? Facing the shape, okay? That is representing you have 9 gates facing. So this is a very important concept, okay? So Yeung expresses the gates theory, Dou Ying. Okay, I want to go ahead and go over the Kung Fu terminology. Now, of course, this is all in Cantonese because Wing Chun terminology mostly today is all from Canton. So, Dou Ying is square up facing. Zui Ying is chasing the shape. So, what does that mean? That means in the fight, it's more important that you go after the shape that give you a better advantage. So, in the early example, I park him. I didn't focus on the hit, I focused on taking his facing away. That's called chasing the shape to gain a superior position and a better structure. That's called 追影. Now for your opponents, where his facing is gone, that's called 白影. So 对影, 追影, 白影. So from here, in a fight, Most people say, okay, he's gonna punch, I'm gonna use my pox out, then I'm gonna hit him. That type of thinking is called technique thinking. Wing Chun is a concept art thinking. So when he comes in with a punch, my thinking should be 周应. That means I'm going for a superior position with a superior structure. So that means, okay, this is gonna happen. You see, I completely turn him over. He don't have the next move, only I have the next move. So I achieve 周应 because I'm 德应 and he is 白应. So that is a very important concept. So if you don't have this Yiji Kimyoma, the facing concept is not in there, you kind of take out one of the major concepts of Wing Chun, which is the gates theory, okay? And not only the gates give you understanding about facing, but if you look at what is most efficient, okay? So you look at my upper limb, it's called upper limbs. I can reach my upper gate naturally, and I can reach my lower gate naturally. But if I was going to use my upper limbs to punch my lower gate, I can easily punch him at the higher gate, and I can easily hit him in the middle gate. But would you want to do this? Use my hand for a lower gate. I mean, anything is possible in a fight, but you want to go for maximum efficiency. That's why you have to know that hands are best used for the upper gate and the middle gate. And the legs is best used for the lower gate and the center gate, right? Now, if he kicks me in the face, okay, number one, that is a big movement. Number two, okay, easy for me to catch, okay, and that's a big movement he have to recover. That is the same as like my punch going for his foot. So there is an efficiency factor. Your hip, best to do is to your hip joints here, right? So legs is best to kick the legs, or kick the body, right? But once you go higher, then it's easy for me to catch. It's the same thing with the hands. Hands is best used for the upper gate or for the middle gate. So that is also part of the gates theory. Efficiency of distance and not to waste your energy on more motions. So this is Yiji Kim Yeung. Yeung is Yim Yeung. So it has to do with gate theory. So hopefully this gives you an idea on the original concept. Now, if you take on the sheep definition, you know, I've seen some lineage, because they're thinking they're abducting an animal between the legs, and then they eventually go as narrow as this. But go ahead and try out. If you go narrow like that, it restricts your movement. It actually creates a balance problem. And if you actually spar or go against grapplers, they love that because you're gonna fall right away when you have this narrow type of stance. So you are not gripping something between your legs, okay? So that's just my experience from sparring, from applications. You have to try it, okay? So the abduction part, toes in, knees in, that give you a structure, but if you go anything more and more, then it becomes a limitation. So you have to kind of wonder, is this the meaning of the abducting the sheep? Okay, the purpose of that, or is there any other meanings? You need to clarify with your sifu or whoever lineage that teach you the concept of abducting the sheep. And also people say, you know, this is for rooting, you're supposed to be able to stand here. In a fight, yes, standing balance is important, but you gotta be able to move. So if you abduct too far in, you take away the mobility, okay? So with that said, I challenge you to think about the objective theory, the information, and test it out. So with the yin-yang concept of the gates, is that helpful in a fight? Or abducting your legs so narrow, would that be helpful in the fight? So you have to kind of see which one that makes sense and which one that is useful in applications, okay? So because your experience is your true teacher. So hopefully you enjoy this second lessons on the gates theory.